What is that? What we have here today, we're going to review the Mercedes-Benz 4th generation of the C-Class that we're looking parked right in front of us, designated as the C205, or in general terms, the W205 generation, which ran from 2014 to 2021 when it saw an entirely new design. This vehicle, because of weight savings with aluminum and high tensile steel, created a platform that was about 100 kilograms lighter than the model it replaced. When these vehicles were manufactured, they saw 3 major locations: Africa, Brazil, and Alabama in the United States of America were the 3 major manufacturing facilities that created these vehicles. Now, while it's not a true genuine Mercedes-Benz engine in this vehicle, we're not featuring the mid-class. We're not talking about the C43 or the C63S. We are in fact talking about the C200 Mercedes right here, which features a turbocharged 2-liter 4-cylinder engine that produces approximately 242 horsepower. As well, it's made it up to a 9-speed automatic transmission. When the C-Class came out back in 1993, it promised to be an exciting, smaller, compact version of a Mercedes-Benz. A lot of people that could afford to get in, that could not afford to get into Mercedes, decided, hey, all of a sudden there's a model for me and it's actually within my price range. That's where, lo and behold, the Mercedes C-Class came into effect. Similarly, trying to compete with the likes of BMW in the 3 Series, and Audi's A4 is all in the same class. These Mercedes-Benz are European-inspired, technologically advanced, with great performance attributes. Today we're going to give you a great walk down of this beautiful 2018 Mercedes-Benz C300 Coupe right here, featuring that turbocharged 2-liter engine. We're going to do a walk down of the exterior, show you some of my favorite components, some of the quirks you'll find in these vehicles, as well as we'll show you some of the features on the inside of this Mercedes-Benz, and we're gonna go for a short little drive. Let's get into it now. So this 2018 model year here came in a coupe like this, came in a sedan, a wagon, as well as a cabriolet. But unfortunately for 2018, Mercedes-Benz didn't quite get the remote start capability. Now, while on a cold day like this, it's absolutely great to have remote start, this one does not have the remote start. You actually had to wait for 2019 to get that capacity, but it does give you some features. Of course, you can unlock, you can lock, you can open the trunk, and you can close the trunk. There's a lot of great features you can get with the key fob in this vehicle, but on top of it, when you put this key in your pocket, right down in here like that, you could still go to your door and you can either unlock it or you can lock it. Unlock, lock. Let's do a walk around. Right here we have the backup camera. As you can see right here, this tends to flip up. As soon as you put this vehicle into reverse, you have a backup camera. Over here you have the LED taillight, and in my personal opinion, the coupe has a much better look for the rear taillight design. This one does give you the 4MATIC because it is an optional all-wheel drive setup in this vehicle as well. Because it's a C-Class, it's predominantly a rear-wheel drive vehicle with the additional torque going to the front as needed. Whereas if you step down to the CLA and the A-Class, it's predominantly a front-wheel drive vehicle. So that's where the C-Class steps up into a rear-wheel drive application. This vehicle here does have some great lines. I love the looks of this. You get chrome details here. You get fold-away mirrors and a large panoramic sunroof up top, which makes it very exciting. And I'll show you that from the inside. Mercedes-Benz has these beautiful 5-star rims, and you'll find these on many of their models, but you'll notice you do have cross-drill ventilated brakes, meaning you're able to stop this vehicle on a dime. I love the new headlights on this style too. In the W205, they really stepped up their game. Unfortunately, they come at a cost. With the LEDs, the technology, there's even temperature sensors built in. These vehicles have a lot of technology all wrapped up in one little fitting like this, and these light fixtures cost as much as $6,000 or $7,000 to replace each. One other feature that are great about the W205, particularly in the C205, like the coupe right here, you have these gorgeous sparkly grille right here, whereas if you step into the sedan, it's more of a conventional style grille. As well, you can see you've got your camera right here and additional sensors for parking, and as well your fancy tow hook there. If you're driving a Mercedes-Benz, there's a good chance you will need to use this tow hook at some point. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of all this fake chrome that a lot of car manufacturers are using these days. Not the big fan there, but I will, with this color combination, the chrome does look great. You get the brushed chrome here around the windows, and I definitely think this gives it a great look all the way around, finishes it off nicely with chrome like this. But you can get this in the black trim package as well, and I do really believe that's probably the best way to go. This vehicle, although nicely equipped, begs the question, should you have stepped up to the C43? The C300, in fact, is their base engine in the North American market, and as a result, it's not a true Mercedes-Benz engine. But let's take a look at that. So here we have the C300 drivetrain right here, 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, makes just over 240 horsepower right here. They mate that up to a 9-speed 9G-tronic gearbox, of course by Mercedes-Benz, and it does a great job of moving this vehicle down the road. It's sprightly, it's economical, you can get close to 30 miles per gallon, and it has enough performance to make it interesting. But these vehicles here don't come necessarily cheap. I will say one thing that I love about these vehicles right there, you'll notice, and a lot of brands like BMW, Porsche are getting rid of the dipsticks. But I think it's a wonderful thing to see manual operated dipsticks like this to double check your oil. That is a dying breed. And the more electronics that you have in a car, the more likeliness of a failure. So that's an example of one little quirk that I think is truly important in modern cars to try to retain those types of features, in my opinion. Let's close it, shall we? All right, let's go inside. I'm going to show you one of the quirks that I'm not a particular fan of. I've seen these before and they often fail in short order. But let's take a close look. Close the door and then look, what do you have there? You have the seatbelt actually reach out and give it to you personally. How friendly is that? So you could pull that down and latch it accordingly. Now you're locked in and that retractor goes away. Now I will say the overall ambiance in this car is absolutely very, very nice. As you circle around, you look, the overall look and feel is much nicer than you're getting from a lot of its competitors. BMW feels a little dressed down these days. Audi has a nice MMI system, but the rest of it isn't all that exciting unless you get the Q stitching on the Audis. They're generally not that exciting either. And this is where I do believe Mercedes-Benz has the trump card for the interior fit and look. But let's get down to brass tacks. Some other features other than this little quirk right here. Let's just take this from the top. Very simplistic. Right here, you've got this, and you can operate your seats. Absolutely beautiful. Down, up. Here's a nice convenient spot. So the driver as well as the passenger over there both get a set of full seat controls, their own lock controls, handles, and as well heated seats. But you'll notice you have 3 elements of that. Typical, very easy to operate. As you step up into the trim line, you'll get another feature right there. Right here you have your windshield wipers, pretty standard. With intermittent wipers you can add to that. Down here you have your cruise control, pretty easy to operate. You can alter it like this. Pretty simplistic, but this little control is quite interesting. Look, it does 2 purposes. Here's a nice little quirk right here. So as you pull it down, it gives you the full tilt. Also gives you the telescopic like that. And as well, it does one other great feature. You also turn this, and then lo and behold, you'll notice there's a little light on there. Well, that's because you actually have a heated steering wheel. You'll notice a little logo on there. That's right, heated, and you can give it a little twist and turn that off. So that's quite nice. Everything's out of sight, out of mind there. Now this here is a quirk I'm not loving very much. This is the gear selector. While most manufacturers are putting it down in the center section, Mercedes-Benz decides to put it right here. Now here's your park button. You just press that button there. You could put it in reverse. You'll notice it's in reverse now. Put it in drive, up halfway. You'll notice it's in neutral, and you press this and then it goes into park. Now these vents are very, very nice. Very Ferrari-esque, if you will. They feel nice and slick. You have a beautiful screen here. The quality of graphics is top shelf. But as well, you do happen to get a beautiful 360-degree camera right here. And you'll notice it works very, very well. It's clear. And look at that. It gives you the full degree, the full 360. And on top of it, as soon as you put this into drive, you'll notice you get that front view right there as well. and it absolutely works wonderful. Now, the only downside with this center section right here and this display, I mean, the graphics are actually quite nice on it, but the problem is it's not a touchscreen. And you can operate a variety of different menu features here, vehicle, and then it zooms up and look at that. Isn't that a cool graphic? But you know, the unfortunate part is you can't do anything with your fingers. It's not a touch screen, but it does give you quality graphics. So it's kind of splitting hairs right there. Navigation looks quite solid on it as well, and it's quite easy to use. And I love this manual selection of buttons. In a marketplace now where a lot of manufacturers are bearing everything within the infotainment system, this is absolutely a breath of fresh air. You have all your heating controls in here. As I say, you have your seats, and everything that you need at a finger's touch is there at a finger's touch. You don't have to go into menu upon menu upon menu for standard garden variety features. You even do get a set of paddle shifters right here for this 9-speed auto. So the entire vehicle functions very, very well. You get a lot of piano finishing. This gloss finishing all over is nice, but be cautious, because when you're using a rag on there, you want to use some microfiber towel, because this scratches very, very easily. So that's a little bit of a finicky component and element of this car that I'm not particularly in love with. I will say all extra controls here, very, very nice, and a set of dual cup holders here, which of course you have another little cubicle right here for if you want to put some change or anything else that you may have. Down here, you'll notice you have a dynamic. You can change that up. Your different shift modes, dynamic. You can go comfort, sport, sport plus, individual settings, and you can even go down to eco. The beauty is it's also replicated here on the main screen. Down here you can also turn off your auto shut off, which a lot of people tend to do as soon as you get in the vehicle. And here's your volume control for your stereo system, which works very nice. It's nice and knurled. The controls work very, very nice, and naturally you can just turn off your stereo right there. Right here, it gives you a couple of options. You can turn with this knurled knob, allows you to kind of move around through your menus, but you can also use this, and this is to write on as well. You can navigate with it. As you'll notice, things move around, but you can also use it to write in letters as you need it if you're doing navigation. So there's a couple of sets of functionality up here, and it all works very nice. A little extra controls for your stereo system back here. Press that, opens very smooth and fluidly. Another great feature, and overall the vehicle feels very, very nice. You look in the back seats, there's enough space there because it's a coupe. They only give you the one seat and the other seat, whereas in the middle it's more for a couple of set of cup holders. You do get some vents and extra amenities in the back seat as well for the passengers riding behind. But I will show you, like, the back seats absolutely are a little snug. So if you're a taller passenger, you're going to find the back seat not as appetizing. You'll notice the roof line is very sharp and raked at the back, and that's going to mean that your headroom is somewhat compromised for your average driver. It's not necessarily the best scenario, but then again, all the action happens up front, and even though those seats are perforated at the back, they're still not heated or cooled. You need to be up front to enjoy those amenities. Up here you get this big beautiful shade, sunshade. Just a quick activation, one touch, and you'll notice it goes back 1 point. Great, like that. And you can hit it again. Press it one more time, and the sunroof does its business like this, slides back. Absolutely a nice feature, very fluid, very smooth, and then this closes off. Gives everything a nice finish. Now we can hit it again, and this just buttons everything else up very, very nice. Another cute quirk that you'll find if your key fob battery doesn't last, or maybe it stopped working for some reason, quite often it's just the battery, which is easy to replace. But what if you need to drive to the dealership to buy that battery? Well, lo and behold, you have this great little quirk, and I love this. So you can pull this out. This is your push button start here on the car. As you back out, you can see clearly next to the steering wheel, you get the push button. You actually give this a little bit of a yank like that. Put that down in there for now, and lo and behold, now that leaves you with this slot. So now you can put your key in there, and you can turn your car over manually, just like that. Lo and behold, the car's running. Turn that off, pull that out, and once you replace the battery in this, then you just take your little plug, put it back in there, and lo and behold, you're good to go. All right, let's go for a quick drive, and I'll give you kind of my short driving impressions. First, put it into gear. It's very easy. You pull your lever down and you're off and running. So we're gonna circle around here and basically just give you the overall feeling. I will say, first off, there's a little bit of natural rolling drivetrain noise with this car. Not sure exactly why that is. It's not as smooth as refined as you would expect from a Mercedes-Benz, but it is a smooth rider. It's just not as quiet as you would anticipate. That being said, the overall cabin feels a little more insulated, and you don't necessarily hear a lot of the exterior noise going on out there. But let's pull out onto the road and take it for a drive, shall we? Again, it's quite a serene cabin. It's quite quiet. It's very, very nice. As you'll notice, you get lots of sun coming into the top. The overall driving experience is quite nice, and I would definitely advocate for a car like this. I would say this is nicer than a lot of its competitors. As I've already said, Audi, you know, has a heavy steering feel with the Quattro all-wheel drive system. It doesn't feel quite as nice. This vehicle here, you don't even know it, because it's primarily a rear-wheel drive vehicle. You do feel like it's driving from the back. It doesn't feel like it's dragging or pushing outwards. It does feel very, very nice. I would say right now I'm in eco mode. You know, the throttle response is very easy and casual. The idea is it's not giving you a lot of performance right now. It's quite settled down, quite subdued. And, you know, as we roll in, I'm gonna toggle this up to 1, and we're gonna put it in comfort mode, which is sort of the default setting. It kind of likes to start out in comfort. And we're gonna set off in comfort mode just like that. And it's still, it's quiet. The shifts are early. It's not really giving you the performance you're looking for, not entirely. Toggle it up to sport, whoa, immediately. And I didn't even change the throttle input. I literally maintained my foot onto it and immediately surged forward and revved up. So it feels like all of a sudden the urgency is there. It wants to get going. That's clearly the element of sport. Now, what about if Sport Plus? So Sport Plus just tightens up even ever so much more. I would say it's distinctly significant, the different changes, and it's a real Jekyll and Hyde feel. Now, that's as much as you can be. I mean, we're not talking about the old E60 M5 where you're producing either 400 or 507 horsepower. No, it's not that vast the difference, but it does sharpen up the throttle response, and it gives you a bit more of that sharpness, that urgency to get moving. And so as we move into sport mode, it definitely, you can hear it rev up. It feels more urgent. Throttle input is a little bit more deliberate, and everything is just tighter and more, you know, pow, just like that. It's not even gonna fib. It's a fun little package. The ride is a little bit stiff, but that's okay. I mean, ultimately that's what this vehicle is meant for, is more of the performance aspect of driving a Mercedes. If you wanted to drive something a little bit more luxurious, then you step into, say, an E-Class. But for more of a fun driver, you know, something that's a little more tossable, something that's a little bit more economical, and likely something that's going to be a little cheaper to fix, because you don't have the air ride suspension in this vehicle. Rather, you have a more conventional setup, and it's going to be cheaper for maintenance, it's going to be cheaper to repair, it's going to be cheaper to own and operate in the long term. But overall, I have to say this C-Class is an absolutely wonderful little car to drive around in. It feels like it's punching above its weight class. Personally, while the drivetrain's not as refined as you'd find in, say, the B48 and the BMW 330, I would say the BMW probably has the best drivetrain of the trio. Audi has the least desirable drivetrain, in my personal opinion, of these three. Mercedes has a nicer gearbox, and of course it also feels like a much nicer interior, whereas BMW has probably the better fit and finish, and also has the better engine, the more refined drivetrain. The B48 engine you find in the BMW is probably the place I would go if your main priority was performance, and if you want to keep a car for, say, 15 to 20 years, there's a good chance that BMW is going to hold up a lot longer and a lot better. This vehicle, it's wonderful. I'm liking the way it drives, but I don't feel like it's got 20 years of potential future driving behind it. It feels a little bit fragile. The engine's a little bit noisy, particularly on cold startup. And would I buy this? Would I recommend people buy this? Absolutely. I mean, it has all of the amenities, and if you like to feel like you're pampered, if you feel like the feeling of having a better, cleaner, nicer interior, the Mercedes-Benz has you covered. I truly believe they have the nicest fit and finish, but it does feel a little bit fragile. I also know that after following the forums for a period of time and actually talking to some owners of these vehicles, owners have found out some plastic interior parts come apart. These speakers have been known to pop out of the door cavities. Plastic fittings don't necessarily stay on where they should, and some of the snap together components don't seem to be as robust. There's also discussions about cylinder number 1 in a few small select cases in the earlier generations of this W205 where they've blown that first piston. Some conversations seem to be related to bad fuel, possibly detonation related to engine failures, but nonetheless there have been some engine failures associated with this particular chassis and this design. Remember, it is a French derived engine, and as a result it's not truly potentially living up to the full expectation of what a lot of Mercedes owners love. So the long and short of it is, great car, a few quirks. This one here in 2018 had a few limits. You step up to the reface back in 2021 and you're going to welcome yourself to a new host of technology, better features, and as well as some enhancements. But for affordability, features, look, design, I truly believe this is one of the best looking compact luxury vehicles you can find on the market today. The Mercedes W205 C-Class is definitely one you should consider if you've been looking in this classification, whether you're looking at a Lexus IS, whether you're looking at an Audi A4 or an S4, or whether you're looking at a BMW 3 Series, you definitely got to give the C-Class Mercedes a close look because it has a lot of great attributes. And I hope to see each and every one on the next one. Do be sure to subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see each and every one on the next one. See you real soon. Bye-bye.